In October 2023, Johnson Outdoors shut down Eureka, a tent brand born in Binghamton, New York, in 1895. 129 years erased. But the real collapse happened quietly, years before, when production moved overseas and the American identity survived only in branding. Today, just 3 tent makers still cut and sew domestically, and what keeps them alive reveals what Eureka lost long before anyone announced its death. The corporate directive arrived on October 19, 2023. Johnson Outdoors announced it would exit the Eureka consumer business, systematically winding down all sales by the end of 2024. To investors, the parent company reported a $4 million charge for the closure, framing the exit as a strategic choice to prioritize their Jetboil stove line. The company presented this as a routine portfolio adjustment rather than a sudden manufacturing failure. Yet, this paper transition ended a production lineage that began in 1895. Long before Eureka manufactured nylon dome tents, the company operated as a local canvas fabricator in Binghamton, New York. Its earliest catalog consisted of heavy wagon covers, horse blankets, and custom storefront awnings. For over a century, those New York workshops scaled their operations, moving from local supply lines to national military contracts. The final termination of the consumer brand was driven by a corporate calculation of margins. In one financial quarter, a public life of 129 years was brought to an end. The corporate exit in late 2023 was merely the final step in a dismantling that had been underway for decades. Long before the public announcement, the actual cutting and sewing of Eureka's consumer tents had quietly migrated to contract factories across Asia to reduce labor costs. While retail packaging and hang tags continued to lean heavily on images of rugged American heritage, the physical connection to domestic manufacturing had already vanished. The heritage brand identity existed primarily on paper, masking a supply chain dependent on foreign container ships. The final physical ties to New York were liquidated months before the consumer brand was officially retired. On March 17, 2023, Johnson Outdoors finalized a massive asset transfer to Record Group, a European-based commercial structures specialist. The transaction, valued at approximately $13.7 million, handed over the historic Conklin Road production facility in Binghamton, along with Eureka's military and commercial tent divisions. This transaction severed the factory footprint from the consumer brand entirely. Because federal law mandates that military shelters be produced domestically under the Berry Amendment, the specialized sewing machines in Binghamton had stayed active for government contracts. But the consumer tents sold at retail had long been imported. When Johnson Outdoors announced the wind down of the consumer line later that autumn, they were not shutting down a historic New York assembly line. That factory had already been sold. The corporate decision merely retired a legacy marketing label whose physical infrastructure had already been traded away. Kirkham's Outdoor Products, a family operation based in Utah since 1944, maintains a different survival model. Their business relies on verifiable origin rather than nostalgic marketing. The core of their product line is the Springbar canvas tent, built around a signature, flexible steel frame, patented by Jack Kirkham Sr. in 1961. At their workshop in Salt Lake City, workers still cut and sew heavy Army duck cotton canvas by hand. The material supply chain is local and traceable. The raw canvas is finished and treated for water resistance by a partner plant in Georgia before it is shipped to Utah for final assembly. To keep this domestic operation viable alongside global competition, Kirkham's enforces a strict structural division. They market these domestically manufactured models under a dedicated Springbar USA label, separating their premium hand-sewn tents from their lower cost, imported lines like the Highline series. By making the physical labor and material sourcing completely clear, the company makes domestic manufacturing an active business choice that buyers can verify. In Solon Springs, Wisconsin, a different survival model operates entirely away from mass retail shelves. Dwayne and Margot Lottig, former dairy farmers, founded Snowtrekker tents in the 1990s. The business began in their converted garage, when Dwayne, unable to find a suitable shelter for heated winter camping, built his own prototype, using a commercial sewing machine. Decades later, the company remains a small family operation. Rather than chasing scale, Snowtrekker focuses on a narrow, highly serious niche: hand-built cold-weather canvas tents, designed specifically for winter expeditions and wood stove camping. Each frame and fabric panel is constructed to withstand sub-zero conditions, offering thermal insulation that synthetic materials cannot match. By bypassing traditional retail distribution and selling directly to winter guides and northern adventurers, the Lottigs avoid the pressure to offshore their labor. There are no high-volume quotas to meet. Their survival relies on functional specialization, proving that a tiny domestic workshop can endure simply by making a specialized product that larger global manufacturers choose not to replicate. Henry Shires built the first Tarptent prototype in 1999, establishing a brand that addresses the reality of global textile supply chains through direct transparency. Rather than relying on sweeping heritage marketing, Tarptent makes its dual sourcing model entirely legible to buyers. For its premium ultralight Icon series, the company partners with LJ Design and Manufacturing, a specialized industrial sewing contractor in Seattle that has assembled their tents since the early 2000s. These specific models are explicitly labeled and sold as Sewn in Seattle. Meanwhile, the brand openly discloses that its other product lines, including its high-performance Dyneema shelters, are fabricated by a high-precision manufacturing partner in Hong Kong. This structural division draws a sharp line between domestic assembly and offshore production. By certifying exactly where each seam is stitched, Tarptent demonstrates that the real alternative to heritage washing is not an impossible insistence on total domestic purity, but simple, verifiable sourcing disclosure. The value shifts from a nostalgic marketing label to an honest, documented transaction. The quiet migration of apparel and gear production overseas operates on a predictable pattern across the outdoor industry. For years, brands shift labor-intensive sewing operations to foreign factories without changing their public identity. The physical cutting and stitching vanish, yet the heritage-focused marketing remains completely intact. Because supply chain adjustments occur behind closed warehouse doors, buyers continue to see the emotional narrative of an American brand rather than the actual shipping manifests. This creates a gradual, permanent detachment between a company's historical origin and its physical assembly. By the time a corporate parent announces an official shutdown or a retail exit, domestic manufacturing has already been gone for a generation. The brand name is simply the last asset to be retired. This leaves a stark market reality. Only a handful of tent makers still cut and sew domestically. Far from being household brands with massive marketing budgets, these remaining operations are almost entirely small family-run workshops. For buyers committed to keeping this segment of American manufacturing alive, supporting these independent businesses is the only practical path forward. The essential consumer shift is one of verification, moving past corporate heritage branding to demand actual physical provenance. Ultimately, supporting these surviving workshops determines whether the domestic trade survives or disappears completely. Real country of origin is determined exclusively by the physical location of the sewing machines. Today, American heritage is increasingly a marketing concept, not a manufacturing reality. When a label's identity is permanently severed from its factory floor, we lose more than just gear. We lose the sovereign capacity to create it. Join the conversation in the comments below.